This is really about being free to create what you want your life to look like. We each are our own hero. And how do we take the challenges that come our way and see those as the birth process of us becoming heroic? Can you meet that judgment that ultimately will surface with neutrality?
This is the Wall Street Coach Podcast with Kim Ann Curtin.
All right, everybody, very excited for you to see this interview with Andres. I want to remind you, though, that I have a free ebook for you at traderdiscipline.com. The name of the book is Discipline and Finding Your Edge. Please sign up there to get a copy of that. And please subscribe to our channel and give us comments if there's certain traders you want to see here or certain inspirational teachers. We're always listening and reading your comments. Thank you for watching the Wall Street Coach Podcast. Enjoy this amazing conversation. Welcome back, everybody, to the Wall Street Coach Podcast. Today, I'm very excited to have Andres Armienta. Did I pronounce your last name right?
That was pretty close. That's all good. No worries at all.
Pronounce it for us. Pronounce it for us.
Armienta.
Armienta. I got to get the rolling of the R.
Oh, no, it's all good. That's just me being a little extra about it.
Good. That's how you should pronounce it. And I will learn it eventually. Andres initially started trading over 4 years ago when he was a senior at UC Davis. He was studying biology as a pre-med student with the goal of one day becoming a surgeon. However, his hobby of trading quickly grew into a deep passion, and he left the pursuit of becoming a doctor in order to give his all to trading. And though still early in his career, he has created a very comfortable life for himself while trading independently. Now at 26 years old, he lives in Orange County, enjoying the coast of California, surfing when he's able to, and he's more eager than ever to continue to hone his craft. Andres, I'm so excited to have you on my podcast. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I love you guys. I love what you guys do. So
thank you.
I'm excited to be a part of it.
So much. Thank you so much. You know, I feel we've known each other now almost a year. It's almost a year that we've met. Brian Lee introduced us. And one of the things that I find really fascinating about you is your real comfort with discomfort. Would you just talk about where you think that skill set comes from, or strength?
That's a good question. I'm not really too sure where it comes from. It might just be my upbringing and just constantly being curious, because through curiosity, that's where you gain the most knowledge, and being curious is going to make you uncomfortable because you're going to be challenged a lot with different beliefs. And you've done that with me plenty of times where you challenge my beliefs, and I've come out realizing that some old beliefs don't serve you like they used to. And they can be even damaging to you. And the uncomfortability it's okay and feels good knowing that on the other side you're going to be better for it. Like, it's very, very rare that, I can't even think of a situation in this moment where you would be uncomfortable and you're not a better person for it in the end.
Mm-hmm. Beautifully said. So Andres and I have worked together for almost a year, and that's a really big part of what informs why I wanted him to be here with you listeners, because I feel Andres's willingness to be in that land of discomfort is the underlying foundation to his success as a trader in such a short amount of time. So take us through the process of you being at school on the pre-med, path. And here you got this hobby. Tell us what the fork in the road was when you knew this was what you wanted to do. I can't imagine how scary that leap was.
Yeah, it was. Absolutely. It really comes down to, I just graduated. I had some money from working, and always wanted to learn. That's why I loved school, and I'm always constantly trying to learn something new. And with having a little bit of money on the side, I just thought I might as well learn how to invest, which quickly turned into how to trade. And then I obviously got really involved and started meeting people through chat rooms and all the regular stuff that everybody goes through. But that was I'd started in late 2017, early 2018 when I was a senior. And then 2019 really was that was all I was doing. And I finally started to see some success. And at that point, I was in the middle of writing my personal statement, and I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Like as if I worked so hard to get to where I was, taking the MCAT, taking all the prerequisite classes and doing well in school and everything, and all the extracurriculars. But when writing that personal statement of why I wanted to be a doctor, all I could think about was to get better in trading. I just wanted to be better. And so, yeah, through that, I was like, why am I doing this? It's clearly not for me. And so I decided to take a leap of faith and trust my gut, trust myself, and know that, I mean, if I could do what I did in my courses at school, which I did well and did well in the MCAT, why can't I be that successful with trading? I just had this utmost belief in myself, and the uncomfortability of that was, like I said, it's okay when you fully believe in yourself, knowing you will be better in the end. Because even if it didn't work out, I'll be better for it, knowing I at least tried. And who knows, you'll learn a lot about yourself. And clearly, every trader learns a lot about themselves throughout the journey. So
when we talked preparing for this conversation, you spoke to how you really wanted to talk, especially to the traders that are listening to us, about what's non-negotiable as a trader. You talked about you wanted to speak to the self-belief, that perseverance, staying humble. Talk a little bit about where those non-negotiables, you yourself discovered those were the non-negotiables required for entry.
When you first start trading, it takes, a lot of people get into it because of what you see, right? And then from other people who are successful, but they stay because how you grow every day, and you're constantly learning. The market is constantly changing, and you're constantly adapting to become better yourself. And hence, by making your trading better, you're making yourself better. And I had this belief that I could do it, and it was incredibly difficult in the beginning. And you realize that it's way harder than you ever could imagine. And I was first working at a hospital. I was doing it, and then I was working as a bartender, and those were horrible hours for trading, but I was still pushing and doing it because I knew that the only way I would truly find out if this was for me is if I gave it my all. And there was no other way about it. Like, you can't get through this game without giving it your all. And it will take much longer than you expect. Even though people tell you that, you're still not going to realize how much work it truly does take. Like, people will hear this and most likely still not understand until you go through it yourself. And it takes incredible self-belief to go through. It's painful, like losing for a while and thinking that you're not going anywhere when really you are. You're just not seeing the results yet. It's painful. So it takes incredible self-belief and knowing that you will get through it. And even if you don't, you tried and you gave it your all. And that's what matters.
Yeah. Did you bump into a lot of resistance, let's say with family or friends, when you were leaving your pre-med program?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can only imagine, like, going through all of college and taking the MCAT, being in the application process and having done everything that I did. Everyone's just like, what the, like, out of left field, like, what are you doing? Like, you're just gonna give that all up? And I'm like, trust me, it'll be worth it, and I'll show you. And yeah, here we are. So it definitely was a lot of questioning, and a lot of people out there that think that trading, I guess coming from a college, right, where people are being educated about finance and economics and stuff, people are going to have their own beliefs about what trading is. And yeah, you get a ton of pushback, but that's where that self-belief comes in.
Yeah.
And it also helps to have great support from other people that you trade with.
Yes.
And in the end, even though it was difficult for family, they wholeheartedly supported me, and because of them, and the people that I trade with, like having that support system is very crucial also, in my opinion, in order to keep pushing through.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit. How, very fortunately, I'm sure there was that initial pushback from your family, but then they did support you and encourage you emotionally. What would you say to the traders who maybe don't have that with their family, or those who don't really understand it, can't really give that kind of emotional support? What would you say is critical for them to create for themselves as they journey through it?
Networking 100%. Talk to as many traders as you can, and eventually you will find a good band of brothers, if you will, where they all have your back. And at least that's how I am with people that I trade with. We trust each other. We talk about a lot of things separate from trading, and those people, they're your colleagues, right? Even though we're not like in an office together, having a support system like that is very important. And not only are you supporting each other, but you're learning from each other, and that's going to speed up your growth immensely. If you're trying to do it on your own, then you're holding yourself back.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredibly helpful when you have a team of people around you that you can all grow together, even if you guys are in different stages.
Yeah.
Who's to say that the guy that has been trading for 10 years won't learn something from a guy who just started 2 years ago, right? Or
Beautiful
vice
point.
versa, of course. So yeah.
It's something that I don't know that has really stood out to me before, that your networking is a huge piece of your trajectory, your speed. And even, we both were spent time with Bryce at Brian's wedding, and that he mentioned Lance. And then that same, like within 48 hours of that, I reached out to him because I've always been a networker. And he was like, he had already heard from you.
Yeah.
Damn, I just was faster than I do with networking. What? So that, and even Brian, am I correct that you had reached out to him many moons ago?
Yeah, he helped me a lot in the beginning of my trading career, and it all just came from me reaching out to people, like as
Wow.
much as I can. If
Yeah.
I saw anyone that was better than me, I wanted to learn, and so I was going to reach out to them to see if they were in the area. I was going to try my best to go out and get lunch or get dinner, whatever it was. But then that's how I met Brian, like 43.5 years ago or so. And then with Lance, he is such an awesome, genuine guy. I knew he was coming to LA, so I just hit him up on a comment, and he was so nice. He actually took the time out of his busy trip and got lunch with me, which is awesome. And I learned so much. I changed a lot in my mindset in just that, like 2 hours of getting lunch together.
Wow. So let's just talk about how that has been a success for you. There are people who undoubtedly reach out to people, but they don't have that response. They don't get the response you've had. Why do you think Brian before he knew you, Lance before he knew you, what is it you're doing that makes these people sit up and take notice and make time to talk?
It's a good question. I think one thing, persistence is always good, but also being like showing value, right? Like showing that you aren't just a beginner in this that is just asking a simple Google question, right? Like asking an in-depth question that is going to make them think, And by making them think, they're learning themselves and they're getting better themselves. So they will appreciate that, and they're going to be much more willing to respond to you when you ask a question that is worth value to them. And when it really gets someone thinking, it gets them interested, and and then persistence with that. And of course, like, not everyone's going to respond. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that don't get responses from people, and you just got to keep trying. And eventually it will come, and you'll find not really, I wouldn't say like mentors, but just you will be able to gain a lot of knowledge in the Twitter sphere. There's a lot out there. You just got to sift through it and really find the little gems.
Yep, for sure. It's a lot of sifting, but I agree with you that as much as there's a lot of chaos on Twitter, if you're discriminatory in who you're listening to, it can be an incredibly powerful platform. But you have to be very discretionary in how you use it. But the access to people, is unprecedented. that we can have the access we have and get in somebody's direct messages, like, how is that possible? So it feels to me like you've really leaned into that and taken advantage of it in such a great way. It's really, really awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty amazing thing that what we have nowadays compared to what our parents had. Right. And so you might as well take advantage of it, because it's here. If you're not doing it, someone else will. And
exactly.
there's so much out there. Like, you can reverse engineer someone's setup just by seeing what they post on Twitter. And then you can backtest that yourself. And by backtesting that yourself, you can see if it works. You can see if you can twist it a little bit to make it your own. And then that's how you can quickly start to gain progress just from something as easy as getting on Twitter. It's pretty crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Lucas, I know you have some questions.
I got a couple, but it's funny that you mentioned, networking as this being, and I wondered if you listened to the podcast with Lance from last week, and he said like that was one of
Absolutely.
the most underrated things that traders like overlook. And it also reminded me, Kim, I don't know, this was a while back, but Lisa Rangel, remember, she said like networking will be anyone's superpower. And I think that's probably like our least listened to episode ever, but so it really is. And so I think it's awesome that you put yourself out there like that. But I guess I wonder, maybe this is a twofold question, but what was like the biggest challenge for you when you first started? And I guess what is, and maybe it's still happening, but what is the most challenging thing for you currently?
Yeah, that's two really good questions. So in the beginning, I think the hardest thing for me personally was realizing it was nothing like what I had experienced through school, the success that I had experienced through school, where it was such a big obstacle for me, because in school you want to be right. In trading, it took me a very long time to realize you don't need to be right very often, and you just have to, when you're right, make the most of it and make the most of your winners and cut your losers quick. And the same thing that every trader will say is let your winners run and cut your losses quickly. But that was probably the hardest thing for me, because coming from a successful school background, it's all about just being right. And so when your ego is consistently getting hurt in the very beginning and getting smashed, you're like, damn, why am I not good at this? When you just don't realize what you're getting yourself into. That was also one of the biggest turnarounds that I ever had, which was to the help of one of our great mutual friends. Brian really helped me to realize how beneficial a risk reward mindset is. And that was biggest obstacle and the biggest shift for me that helped me tremendously. Now, I would say my biggest obstacle this year has been adapting because the market shifted tremendously in small caps versus 2020, 2021. And this is my first test at adapting to a large shift in the market. And it didn't go as easy in the beginning, but I learned from it all, and I'm doing much, much better now. And I'm also, after my conversation with Lance, when we had lunch together, he really encouraged me to like expand my wings and go into other niches and expand my playbook, not just be so set on small caps, but really start to grow. And right now is the best time to do it. While small caps are slow, it's an amazing opportunity to spread your wings and go look at what else is out there where you can expand your playbook and get better.
Yeah, that's great. And just for like, if I don't know if it necessarily matters, but like, what is your primary strategy? Because you mentioned small caps, but just so maybe people have an idea of what you kind of trade.
Yeah, so I mainly short sell small caps, intraday runners, gappers, multi-day runs. Occasionally we'll long the multi-day runs, but I'm more of a short seller.
Okay.
And yeah, that's pretty much where I started and what brought me my success.
Yeah.
And now I'm shifting a little bit more into large caps and futures. So it's been awesome. I love it. I love learning. So
yeah,
perfect.
Do you find, how do you navigate that choice? When is the right time to potentially, spread your wings and learn? How does somebody let that decision be informed? What has to be present for one to, because I could imagine for some traders, it might be, I don't want to leave this strategy that I'm still mastering and distract myself or confuse myself with going down another rabbit hole. What was the critical, choice? How did you make that critical choice for yourself? And what would you suggest to others about that choice?
I think it really comes down to wanting to grow and wanting to be like 1% better every day, right? If your strategy is slow and it's not coming on very often, or there's a lot less range and opportunity there, it's not very beneficial for you to just sit and wait, right? Like with what Lance spoke about in the last episode, which was a huge topic in my conversation with him when we had lunch, was why just sit there and wait for the market to turn for you? Why not make that opportunity? It's out there. You just have to go and seize it. And you obviously need to learn and expand your playbook in order to do that. I don't think that because you are expanding into other niches or expanding your playbook, that it means you're going to confuse yourself with another strategy, right? Like you can have a strategy in one niche and a totally different strategy in another niche, and that is totally okay. You just have to have your rules set in place for those and not interchange them, right? It's if it's a different play, it's a different setup, it should be treated that way with different rules and systematic entries or exits if you're systematic trading.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about the concept of time off? Tell us how you navigate or not navigate time off.
Yeah. I think it was very hard for me a year ago to take time off. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, I mean, really through all of 2020 and 2021, because it was so busy and hectic, especially in small caps with what I do. So I wanted to maximize every single opportunity every day because there was so much out there. Yeah. And for how early I am in my career, I think I did a very good job of that. And so it was hard to, like, once it started to slow down, probably at the end of last year, it was really hard for me to slow down and pull back and realize that, okay, maybe I shouldn't be trading this large of size anymore, and maybe I shouldn't be trading this often anymore. You really helped me with that when you challenged my belief of like, what does working hard mean, right? And I had a very hard time letting go of, sometimes working hard doesn't always serve you, right? It's a belief that got me to where I am today, but having the belief of I constantly need to work hard means you're going to constantly want to be here at your desk and push some buttons. You have to know when it's applicable, when it's not. Like for me now, working hard is back testing or studying a new setup, right? It's not, I try and take that out of my mindset as much as possible while I'm here at my desk during trading hours. Because I'm not trying to work hard, I'm trying to let things come to me. I've already done the work, and this is time just to let it be and execute on what I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's gotten, after challenging that belief and being curious about it, it's definitely gotten better. It's gotten easier. You realize you need time to relax and unplug, because from 2020 to 2021, it was a lot. It was tiring, and it got that in my head that I had to be like that all the time. And so it was hard at first, but definitely became easier with your help, of course. And yeah, so thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I think what is just so impressive is how young you are, to be honest. You are under 30, and yet your discipline and your self-awareness is, like 100-year-old person's. I mean, you are truly an old soul, Andres. It's really quite extraordinary. But your depth of self-awareness and a willingness to be with like what's maybe hard to be with, it's profound. It's got to be serving not just your trading, but all aspects of your life.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't really know where it comes from other than trading. Like, you have to be introspective and you have to be self-aware in order to be a successful trader.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really just try to get better every day, and that doesn't include just trading, but it includes just everything in your personal life, and from relationships to your self-awareness and everything in between.
Yeah. One of the phrases that we've talked about a few times is the concept of curiosity and noticing. Simply notice is one of my favorite catchphrases. And when we got to meet in person, I got to see evidence of that
Yeah.
phrase. So please, if you're willing to share that.
Yeah, of course. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it very well, but it's probably backwards.
Yeah.
But
Great phones.
it says simply notice there. And it's so small and simple, but it is such a tremendous help. It was one of the best tools that I needed in the very beginning when we started working together, where at first people always talk about emotions and not allowing your emotions to get in the way of trading. And so you think, okay, maybe I just shouldn't be emotional, right? Like, let's just not be emotional, right? Like, as if you're a robot. Okay. But you helped me to realize that just by noticing the emotion and noticing it's there, it can allow you to act versus reacting to it, right? And if you are not acknowledging it and you're just like, I'm not going to be emotional, get ready, because it's about to womp all over you. So the act of simply noticing allows you to act instead of reacting, because you may know your trigger of what causes that emotion, and you may know a habit that occurs right after that, and so you can stop it in its tracks. And then over time, as you do that repeatedly, you can reframe the way that your body is reacting to a certain stimulus, of whether it's like, I've just taken 2 losses back to back or something. And I lost my train of thought of that, but yeah.
Beautifully said, because I think that is the misnomer that's out there among, a lot of traders, even sophisticated traders. I do think some of them think that they can be unemotional. And that is just mind boggling to me because of just the literature alone that's out there, the studies that show us we are emotional beings. And what I've seen you do is be able to observe and feel simultaneously those emotions and truly surf them all the way into shore. It's remarkable.
Yeah, it's hard to explain to people without doing it in our sessions, but it is very special. It's like I've never even knew what surfing emotions was, right? And then through those tools that you show us, I'm able to actually go through them and even realize what might be deep down inside it, whether it's a belief or a memory that is causing these to come up, right? And then once you go down and actually fix that issue, well, you need to realize it first by surfing the emotion and going through it and observing yourself. And sometimes it can really lead you down to figuring out what might be underneath that, like a limiting belief that might have gotten you to where you are today, but not serve you anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfectly said. Just beautifully said. I was so excited when you started to take surfing, literal surfing out of the ocean. Tell us how that serves you and what that does for you as a trader.
I really just love being active, and it's a great way for me to reset and just be out in the water. There's no really other feeling like it. It's awesome. Even though I just picked it up this year, it's just really, it's humbling realizing how small we are. And it's also just nice when you have a bad day in trading or bad day with something else, and you go out there and you don't think about anything else but the beauty of where you're at. And it is incredibly difficult for anyone to leave that unhappy, right? Like you can't get out of that water without being thankful for what you have and thankful for being here. So it's a huge reset for me, and it serves me more than I thought it ever would, especially just, so it's like another activity. But for some reason I feel different about it, just being out there in water, making it humbles you.
Yeah. And I'm hearing you also say that it shifts you to a place of gratitude, regardless of what the early part of the day perhaps delivered.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's hard to be out there and not be thankful when you see how beautiful it is. And you're also just so present in that moment. It helps you a lot with trading too. Like it's all about being present in the moment. And the more practice you get at that, the better you'll be off in the future.
Yeah. What is your advice to traders who right now perhaps are, similar to you, 4 years into their journey, facing what, the market is right now? This is June 1st, 2022. We're talking to Andres. What would your advice be to those who perhaps are struggling or questioning themselves, questioning their strategy? What would you say to them to encourage them and or inspire them?
I think first off, it is really good to question and to be introspective on yourself and your strategy and how you're performing. I needed that in the very beginning of this year. And I think what helped me is knowing that I will get through any type of obstacle that comes in your way. And from a strategic standpoint, seeing what other people are doing that is successful, right? Like not just any other person out there on Twitter, but people that you actually trust. And that's also where networking comes in handy. You have a relationship with these people that you trust. And when you see someone doing well, you can reverse engineer, like how I explained earlier, reverse engineer someone's setup, see why are they doing well and why is my strategy not doing well, right? What are the different nuances, and try to pick that apart, test different things, and just be curious. Like if you have an idea, run with it, go test it. And sure, it might not pay off, but you're better for it because now at least you know, okay, I don't need to go down that road. Let's try this other road over here. And just the consistency, perseverance, and self-belief that you will get through anything that's in front of you, that will serve you more than anything. Really just believe in yourself. And yeah, like you might be going the wrong way, but by networking with others and seeing what other people are doing that are successful, it's going to be a lot harder to continue down the wrong path if you're trying to follow the coattails of others that are successful.
Yeah. The other thing that I just really heard with what you spoke to is that and I just didn't hear you identify it, but yet I hear it in what you're saying. You have somehow learned how to not take it personally, the losses personally. Would you agree?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's never like a good feeling. It it still sucks like to have a drawdown or something, but like you said, it's not personal. Like the market doesn't know who I am. It doesn't give a damn about who I am or what I've done or the work that I've put in. And like I said, you can put in all of these hours of work, but if you're not going in the right direction by following the coattails of others who are successful, then yeah, the market doesn't care if you work hard. So it doesn't care if you continue to take losses. Nothing's going to change. It's all up to you. So it's not a personal matter. It's really just a learning experience. It's an opportunity to get better. So there's no need to take that personal.
Yeah. And the other thing too that I hear underneath everything you're saying is that you truly are looking at this as a long tail commitment. This is not a drive-by for you. This is, you want to be here for 20, 30, 40 years. That also seems to be informing your perspective. I'm right about that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's something, again, that you've helped me a lot with also, where sometimes you get so focused on what's happening now or what happened a month ago or whatever have you, that you lose sight of the fact that if you're doing this for the next 30, 40 years of your life, why does that one trade matter? Or why does that one bad day matter? Or that one bad month matter? Right? It doesn't. It's a learning experience for you to get better. And that will serve you tremendously in the long run.
Yeah. I know were very active years in school with sports. Do you feel that is a strength, that those who come from that come in with an edge if they step into trading? How important do you think sports affected your ability to be disciplined in trading?
I think it helped a lot, for sure. I think my discipline in sports and in school helped a lot with just self-confidence and belief that you will get through the hard times and just to continue to persevere. And sports teaches you a lot about obviously being a part of a team, and then when you're networking with others, helping one another, right? Because even though we do this alone, you can still be a part, not necessarily a team where you guys are like sharing P&L or whatever, unless you're a prop firm, but you can still help one another. And whether or not that person has been trading longer or not, you can still receive knowledge and information from whoever it may be. So having that mindset definitely helped a lot. And like you said, just the discipline of having a schedule, like knowing when I had to practice, knowing when I had to work hard, and a diet or weightlifting, that all serves you when it comes to trading, because trading takes a lot of discipline, takes a lot of patience, and a lot of hard work. And you need all of those in order to be successful in sports also.
Yeah, for sure. Lucas, did you have other questions?
No, I'm glad we brought it back to sports, though. I feel like.
Why are you glad we brought it back to sports?
I don't. Like I said, we were talking before this, but every time I think of Andres, I just think the first time we talked about lacrosse for it felt like a half an hour, because we both played, and it was. And I do see that, like you were a forward, right?
I was attacking midfield, but I would play attack here and there.
Okay, yeah. So I played midi, but I feel like there's something too with attacks that, like taking the shot and like not being afraid of, taking a shot, missing, getting whatever. So I wonder how much of that maybe like plays into your mindset sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really interesting point. Like, you know what I'm talking about. If you catch a ball right by the crease and you have to take the shot, even though you know you're about to get rocked, you got to do it. Like there's, you're never going to find out if you don't give it a shot. So the only bad thing about it is you're going to get hit regardless. So might as well do it.
Might as well try it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very good metaphor for trading, because you're probably going to get hit no matter what.
Oh, exactly. You're going to get hit in the mouth. So you might as well try as hard as you can.
Yeah. Exactly. What did I not ask you, Andres, that I should have?
I think we really hit everything that we had spoken about earlier. Yeah.
What do you want your message to be to the traders who are inspired by this conversation? Because I think you are very inspiring. What is it you want to just kind of sign off with, like one message to them? What's that one message?
Network and find people that are better than you, find people that you are better than, and help one another. Because having a support system like that is going to help you while you're continuing to persevere yourself. Of course, you need that self-confidence to persevere and keep going through all the rough times, because it is going to be rough and will continue to be rough. It doesn't really get that much easier. And having a support system around you with other traders that are going through the same thing is incredibly important. And you're learning from one another. So I think that's huge.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming here, sharing your wisdom, sharing your old soul knowledge with the traders who are listening. It's going to move and touch and inspire a lot of people. So thank you, Andres, so much.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here too. Thank you.
It's awesome.
To both of you.
Well, thank you so much for listening, guys, and we will see you on the next episode of the Wall Street Coach Podcast. Aloha for now.
This is the Wall Street Coach Podcast with Kim Ann Curtin. You can download Kim's free ebook, Discipline and Finding Your Edge, at traderdiscipline.com. And learn more about working with Kim and her team at thewallstreetcoach.com. And if you're feeling generous, please leave a rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for listening.